Hey everybody, welcome to another Hoop and Harm. This time we are into the best part of the season. I know some kids think Christmas is great. The NBA by far, when we get to the final two teams, nobody is really watching the finals that much, but I will say the rumors of who's moving where is more intriguing than the final two teams that are playing.
It's just the reality.
Way more than any other sport.
Yeah.
I don't know a single sport out there in the professional world. Let me just review them. Football doesn't do this. The NHL certainly doesn't do this.
Does not.
Major League Baseball does not do this. The NBA owns the offseason. Can we just be fair about that?
Yeah.
So you have brought up a team to me that we are going to talk about, and it is the Boston Celtics. And I have to tell you before we even get going, this was the favorite to be in the finals.
Absolutely.
This team was supposed to be there. They lost to the Knicks, made the Knicks fans really hopeful. Everybody was pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
The Knicks then lost to Indiana. And then we look at it, and it's time for Rumorville. So, Nolan, you bring all of the facts. You set the table. I look forward to reacting to what we have all been reading about.
Yeah.
Which player are we going to talk about first?
Well, it seems like for Boston, which is crazy to say, as you say, a team that was, arguably, the best of the whole season and favored to take it to the finals again and repeat. But it seems like anyone not named Jayson Tatum is on the market, or at least available as far as like we can have a conversation about that player for a trade.
And for everyone to know, like, Tatum's not playing next year.
Right. And then that's why everything's on the table, because of that. If Tatum is not injured, if Tatum doesn't get injured, I don't think we're having this conversation. I think there are some, guys with 1 year left on their contract that we'll talk about that would have been or could have been moved. But let's start with the one that would be the most earth-shattering, and probably, we'll get to this, but probably the most unlikely, but it's out there, that Jalen Brown could be traded. We're not talking about Jalen Brown as a possibility to get traded if Jayson Tatum is coming into the season healthy. I don't believe.
So this is if a bird flaps its wings, a hurricane happens over the ocean.
Right.
Like, Tatum's injury is a possibility, or I'm going to say possibility, to reshape Boston Celtics for the next 5 years with these items. That's what you're talking about.
They'll never say it out in the open, but the Celtics behind closed doors are probably thinking, without Tatum, we're probably not real contenders. We're probably not winning. We're probably not making the finals. We're probably not, even with a weakened East.
All right.
So this is a chance to retool.
This is what you're selling Boston fans. If I'm Boston fans, now mind you, the Red Sox just traded one of their best players.
Right.
So, hey, Boston.
After sweeping their rivals.
Boston, you may want to do that. Like, did the Celtics and the Red Sox get together and say, I know, we'll one up. We got to get the attention off of the Red Sox. Let's talk trades. So who would even... First off, everyone's in the mix for this guy. I don't know a single team who wouldn't want him. We're talking about Brown first, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
All right. So, like, for me, if I'm any NBA team, I will be better with him than without him. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. He's a legit superstar. He's proved he can win you a championship as the number 2 best player on your team.
What's the rumor? Hit me with the rumor.
So, again, and this is not super, substantiated. This is not this is more speculation than anything, but the rumor is that San Antonio will be aggressive for Brown, especially once the KD dust has settled. If you want to make the argument for them, he fits the timeline a little better, in my opinion, than KD. Like, KD's ready to win now. KD's ready to win tomorrow. Jalen Brown, you're getting in his prime with with more years left to go in his, superstardom. So
what is Boston getting back for him?
Well, that's the $1 million question. If I'm Boston, that conversation starts with the number 2 pick overall in the draft, and it starts with the rookie of the year, Stephon Castle. And then, and that's not just it. I mean, I'm talking. Desmond Bane just got four. The Grizzlies just got 4 picks for Desmond Bane. No disrespect for Desmond Bane. I know he's a borderline all-star, could make one day, but he is not Jalen Brown. He is not the difference maker. So you're going to have to give a lot of picks, which San Antonio does have.
This is your I'm not as crazily opposed to what you're offering. I thought this is all crazy. Like when you're talking about picks, the rookie of the year, Tatum's gone for the whole season.
Someone like Stefan, Devin Vassell, good three-point shooter, 3-and-D guy. Like you could make me a case that you're setting things up really nicely for when Jayson Tatum gets back and around. Don't forget, they can receive picks in this trade, try to continue to develop the rookie of the year, get yourself a really good player at number 2 to develop. But then they could turn around and once Tatum is back in the fold, trade some of those assets and picks for another superstar. It's not crazy.
The
other one I would give you for salary purposes, who would actually help you and contribute winning games, is Harrison Barnes. You'd need his contract to make the salaries work, and there's a player who's been a winner, has been on championship teams before. Again, you're not going to make the trade for him, but when you count all the parts together,
it's not awful.
Yeah.
I thought I have read a lot of awful. I'm a Suns fans, everybody. I have read a lot of awful. You're making me kind of upset because I don't like either franchise. So I'm not a fan of San Antonio, and Boston's had really good times in my life.
And if you're a conspiracy theorist, like if it happens, you could also, especially if you're someone who doesn't like Boston, like you could like kind of get your antennas up and be like, wait a second. So they had their best player injured. They're going to be bad for a year, but they're going to get the number 2 overall pick out of the deal. Again, you're trading a superstar like Brown, but I don't know.
I don't hate it. I was expecting to hate it. I don't like it because I think the Spurs benefit, and I think Boston benefits.
It could be the rare double win. It could be the rare good for both teams.
And I'm not saying he's worn out his welcome mat because that's silly. They literally just won a championship. But if you look at the two of them together and you look at what they were doing, and then you look at Indiana and you look at the Eastern Conference, you're also getting him over in the Western Conference, which means you don't have to worry about him. He's got to deal with all the Western Conference teams, which we already believe is harder.
Yeah.
You're giving more weapons for Wemby.
And San Antonio will still have plenty of room to do some things. They'll have some more flexibility because they've got a lot of assets and they've got a lot of cap space. It's getting less, but from Boston's perspective, like you're retooling, you're getting younger, but they also have a lot of other pieces that they're much more likely to move this offseason to, build around it. And it could be a really funky, weird, like development year while they wait for Tatum, but he could find himself in a really nice landing spot when he comes back.
It's not as awful. It's like not a terrible meal. Mm-hmm. I would enjoy the meal. I think Boston fans may freak out because they're like, but I already think Boston fans. Do you think Boston fans have already like next year's we're not gonna do it because of the injury? They've already accepted that.
I think a lot of fans probably have, though. I will say it's going to depend on how it plays out, and so I could see. I know we wanted to talk about Brown first, but for them, it could be a situation where they wait to see how the whole offseason pans out, and if it looks like we're not going to go anywhere with the in the East this year, let's get off Brown's contract, let's get some assets, and let's do a refresh. I could see that being like, the cat trade happening right before training camp or something like that.
I mean, the picks are the biggest deal. Okay. All right. So that's interesting. What else do you have for
All right.
the Boston trade fiasco?
So much more likely, I think. I think the most obvious one to me, the most likely one to happen is Kristaps Porzingis gets traded. Porzingis has 1 year left on his contract. It's $30 million. You just did not get a lot out of him this past year, and
The last 2 years they have
last 2 years
now.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
he did help them win a title, but also how much did he help? He was out a lot. He was injured a lot. That was you're not getting the return on investment in Porzingis. So I think to me and I have not necessarily heard this, but it just seems too obvious to me. I think the Celtics reach out to their old friend Danny Ainge, who is the GM for the Jazz. He loves to play hardball with every other team, but I could see him making things real easy for Boston, taking on Porzingis' contract, maybe get a couple of second-round picks out of the deal, and flip them, a more serviceable contract. Like, man, as a Knicks fan, I would hate this. Walker Kessler, who's a very good borderline all-star center, is on a rookie contract still, only making $4.8 million for the next year. He's probably not going to re-sign in Utah. If they flipped him for Kessler, and let's just say for argument's sake, John Collins is on a $26 million 1 year contract, so he's another one of those borderline all-star stat padding players, but doesn't really make a difference. Win wise, but Boston could talk themselves into, sure, we'll take John Collins for a year or two, fill in for Tatum and play the fake Tatum role.
I just don't see I see the need for Boston wanting to break away from his contract for the 1 year because he hasn't been good, but I just don't see. I know Utah and Danny Ainge and his son now is the GM, and they wouldn't possibly. I think someone takes on that $30 million contract, they're getting rid of somebody who's got a multiple year contract that they don't want anymore. So I don't see them trading a rookie or a 1-to-1. It would have to be like this player's got 3 years left, $90 million. We're going to get rid of this 1 year 30, but you're going to get 3 years 90.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because that was that's my panic as a Knicks fan and as somebody who would love to see Kessler end up on the Knicks, because they could use another center. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. The other option,
I have a tough time with teams taking on a 1 year $30 million deal without getting rid of a bad deal they don't want anymore.
True. Well, they have a lot of 1 year contracts though, the Jazz. So
yeah, and I'm wondering, because of the Bane trade, I feel like Memphis is done. So I feel like you can get anything you want from Memphis if you offer them some stuff, and they say, "Oh, later on we're going to be better. Like in 8 years we're going to be better."
I mean, they're saying, Memphis is saying that they're still building around Jackson and Morant, but you know what? The Jazz said that a couple years ago about Donovan Mitchell, and they traded him the very couple months later. So
you cannot believe. GMs are like politicians. The first one that tells the media the truth will be the first one ever to tell the media the truth. I've heard everybody say, "I love this coach," and then a week later they're firing him. "I love this player. Oh, we have to trade him." Hey, that's just that comes and goes. GMs get fired as well. So I don't know if there's a trade out there that makes sense unless there's a long.
I think they'll find a team. The other option is like the Brooklyn Nets, who don't necessarily have anyone to give back in return. But if Boston was willing to offer enough first-round picks, they have endless cap space. The Nets have hardly anybody under contract next year. They could just take Porzingis, convince them, take a few picks, maybe even Boston's first-round pick this year, although Brooklyn's got like 4 of those, so I don't know if they even need them, but future picks, and then convince themselves like, hey, let's let Porzingis try to get, Porzingis rehabilitated, and then we can flip him at the trade deadline.
Here's the thing that's crazy is I look at that $30 million 1 year deal and I'm like, that's a lot of money. And then I look at Beal's contract for the Suns, who's getting $52 or $53 million for 1 year. And I look at the production he got.
Yeah.
Is there a bucket nearby so I can puke? It's so depressing.
So you're saying you'd call the Celtics about a Beal Porzingis swap?
I think we need to have more money. Like we have to give them more of our. We don't have picks. Like I think the Celtics would be doing us a favor.
Oh,
Like that's how bad.
I would absolutely be the Celtics.
I just said that, and we just said for 2 years he has not been good. So I think that's a harder sell. I think it's interesting because you started off with a nice steak. That one's more like a McDonald's cheeseburger. Not so great.
Okay.
Who else? Who else is Boston shopping?
The next one, I think that's more on the end of likeliness, I think, is Jrue Holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Jrue Holiday's got a 3-year contract. He did age fast.
How much money?
He's got 30, he's making $32.4 million next year.
Ooh, you could trade Holiday with
Porzingis for Beal?
Yes, yeah, with Porzingis for Beal. That's 60 to 50. We're close.
Yeah, there's probably you'd probably need to do some finagling and getting other teams involved.
The only problem is Beal has a no trade clause. Just so everybody knows that he also has a no trade clause.
He probably would waive it for Boston, though. I mean,
I don't know. Have you seen him play? Do you want him? No one in this. He doesn't play enough. He's just going to be hated there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Holiday's another tough contract. His tough contract is because I felt he aged very quickly.
Yeah.
And from his champion, he comes from the Bucks championship, which he was excellent.
He went from being a key factor for the Bucks and then to the Celtics winning their championships to, I don't want to say non-existent this year, but man, he was exposed in the playoffs.
Do you think there was? I'm going to project. I think something healthy was happening with him because he was very poor defensively, and that's his biggest strength.
I would agree with that. There probably
I'm sure something was happening because it just was so uncharacteristic of him to play. I just don't think he lost that much of a step.
Well, and so I think, especially because they're probably quote unquote punting next year, I think Boston's got to be looking at that. Like, it does not make sense to keep this guy. Let's try to get something back for him at, his value may never be as high. I mean, it's already lower than it would have been a year ago. Let's try to get something from him. And the team that I think that makes the most sense to make a trade for Holiday is the Dallas Mavericks, because they need somebody while Kyrie Irving is out.
Interesting.
And so, again, let's just, for argument's sake, say Jrue Holiday comes back next year 75-80% of what he was in the past.
Okay.
That's your starting point guard until Irving gets back, and then he's very comfortable playing off the ball when Irving returns.
And taking on whoever is the harder defender, if you will.
Exactly.
Who's the swap? What's the swap?
I think the swap is two guys that Dallas is kind of shopping and putting out there because they're on 1-year contracts and they want bigger ones in the future. And that is Daniel Gafford, the center, who, if they get rid of Porzingis, if Al Horford doesn't stick around, that's your new starting center for the Celtics. And the other player is PJ Washington.
So they're losing 2 bigs for a small.
Yep.
And they're going to get Cooper. So you got to make room for Cooper.
Got to make room for Cooper. You got AD and you got Derrick Lively, who is on a rookie contract and was very good for them last year. I think pretty much beat out Gafford for their starting role.
The injury is what hurt him last year. Interesting. This is certainly an upgrade. This is an interesting. Boston has some interesting options.
Yeah, I think it helps both teams. Again, you might be,
but again, we're talking about 2 teams that are still competitive, because Boston, even though they take a step back, would they still make the playoffs? More than likely. I still think they have enough talent, even if they make any of these trades, what have you. Did you look at any deals like possibly with Portland in the mix in any of these Boston deals? Because I know Portland has some players, some pieces, if you will, that they can possibly move. And then the other teams that I was Memphis was interesting with what they did, so I think they're still in the mix on things we're not quite sure where they're going to go.
I haven't thought of Portland as a combo for Boston, as a match for Boston. I think there is rumors that Portland wants to like be competitive, like they're sick of like losing and they want to kind of go for it and get someone big. Um, but I don't know that exists on Boston's roster.
Yeah, I would be surprised to see Portland take that step forward in the West with all of the teams I'm expecting.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's smart of them, but I think they should develop another year. But I mean, they also probably they could be having trouble with ticket sales and they want to try to put a winner on the court. Who knows?
If you look at the Clippers, I know we're talking Boston. When you look at the Clippers, are they being rumored to swap anything after their continuous failures in the playoffs?
Believe it or not, a guy that we talked about as like, wow, what a great player and what a great asset, Norman Powell, he kind of faded in the playoffs for them.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And I think that they're looking at a possible, opportunity to upgrade over him.
Interesting. Yeah, these are interesting trades. It's just, I feel like you have the KD trade that's looming over everything still.
Definitely.
Giannis is still being talked about. We've done both of those shows. Boston is kind of like, here's some pieces in addition to those pieces that are available. So if you're a team talking, you can still have a conversation with Boston about some of these players. Anybody else on Boston that you think is?
Let me give you one more.
Okay.
And I think I mean, I could give you two more. I mean, I think one that we don't have to spend a lot of time on is Sam Hauser. He's been coming up a trade. I don't really know why. He's only making $10 million a year. He's locked into a 4-year deal. I'm not really sure why that they would want to get rid of him, other than they just feel like he had a really good season for them, shot a lot of threes, and maybe someone could blow them away with an offer. But the other one that I think is less likely, I think falls more into the Jalen Brown category, where it's probably not going to happen. But a team could really blow the Celtics away for a deal for a guy like Derrick White. If Bane got 4 first-round picks, Derrick White is a difference maker, man. He really injected a lot of life into Boston when he went there. And that seems to be a trend, right? The Knicks traded Mikal Bridges, traded 5 first-round picks. Desmond Bane, 4 first-round picks. There's this trend of now, like, we need that key role player. We need that, ultimate, not quite a superstar, but like, just under that superstar category that does a lot of different things. In theory, it doesn't always work out that great, as in the case of Bridges. But man, Derrick White, a team that's close could really convince themselves that he's the final piece. He's making third, almost 30. He's making 28.1, but he's locked in for 4 years.
It's interesting to me because Holiday's got 3, he's got 4. I think Hauser's completely off the table because he fits their system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he comes in off the bench and he plays in that system. He knows the system really well. I think Holiday over White makes more sense. I think Brown is interesting depending on how much you get. Mm-hmm. Like, if you get the kitchen sink for Brown, that's pretty amazing. However, I will say this. I don't know, and I don't know if you know, Tatum and Brown's relationship and how good or strong that is. Because if you trade like the Pippen to Jordan, that would just upset the whole apple cart.
Yeah.
Like Porzingis, like, he goes, no one's going to miss him. If you get rid of Holiday, he was a key point, but he may have lost a step.
I think people will understand.
Everybody would understand both those. White, I can understand that, like, depending on what you get. I think they need more depth, big man wise, because remember, you have Al Horford, who
we don't even know if he's going to come back.
Listen, if he does, God bless him, but he's not. He's
not the
played
same
forever. He's played for. I mean, this guy has played as long as I've been an adult.
Honestly, I think the reality is Horford's probably waiting for the Celtics to offer him a contract, and if they don't, he's going to retire.
It makes a lot of sense to me, and I would bring him back, but I think making a trade to get a big makes more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you, like Kessler would worry me because, again, he's a rookie and he does show some signs. But I would be
If they
shocked.
clear some of that other cap space,
be
they can
shocked.
reach a big contract next year.
It depends on what Utah would get for him. So I'd be shocked to have that. The Dallas trade's interesting because Dallas does have bigger guys that they do not have room for that you could get for them, and then you could be happy. And that Jrue Holiday trade is interesting. And the Brown trade, the reason why that one was really interesting with San Antonio is San Antonio is rumored with a lot of teams. So I think whenever San Antonio makes whatever move they're going to make, that's going to clear up a lot of things for a lot of folks because they're rumored in so many angles. And the question is, who deals with San Antonio on a regular basis? With Pop having the stroke and stepping back completely, he used to run the whole thing. Are they still being run really well? I would think they are. I don't think the San Antonio Spurs are managed poorly. I mean, they certainly have that family kind of atmosphere with especially that press conference he gave. Everybody coming back, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, I think Parker was back. They all came back. So I think San Antonio is like the cornerstone of so much happening in the NBA, similar to like wherever KD goes.
Yeah.
It's going to just, the domino effect is going to happen. And then we get to talk about like who the winners and the losers are. So I think the two players that you focus on, with Brown being like the elite, that is an elite trade. And if they do that, then they're not worried about Tatum and they're hurting that relationship, which is, you can read into that if you want. But Holiday being moved makes a lot of sense because you're getting rid of 3 years. Porzingis being moved because, again, if you can get rid of the 30-year contract and get something more serviceable, it makes sense. I could also see a lot of teams just saying, too bad, Boston. It's his last year. You guys are going to have to eat it up. Because they may be offered some real junk for him.
Right.
So just because his last 2 years, he's not been available.
Right.
But Holiday, I could see for a playoff team, getting Holiday defensively makes a lot of sense.
Does.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. White, your point about White, it makes a lot of sense to me. So if they go to start the season without White and without Holiday, and in fact, if you had White go to Dallas, that's not bad either because White doesn't play bad off the ball. I just know that defensively,
Dallas would have to give up significantly more, though.
I mean, they have things. So
I think Boston would be looking to get off of Holiday, but they would be, whereas with White, they'd have to be blown over. You want to know the one that would, and this just came to me, but imagine OKC getting really greedy. They have all those picks. They could just be like, hey, Boston, we'll take Derrick White, and we're going to have a unholy trinity of Shea and Caruso and Derrick White off the bench. Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine?
This is the part that, I mean, we're doing this before Game 6, but if OKC wins, OKC, in all reality, could be better after the offseason than they are today. Which
is so frightening.
Like, they're good. Most teams that are good can't add. Like, okay.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they don't repeat, they will. They have everything they need to retool the right way and come back stronger.
I would say everyone is putting a lot of emphasis on them being like this juggernaut for years on end. That is a fair point, but I think they have to be smart about the right moves they make if they do make any moves. But to your point about retooling, if they kept the picks and retooled, that's fascinating. If they traded to add the right piece, that's also fascinating. But there's no scenario, especially with them in their prime, that they should not be coming back. And if you're Boston, Tatum Young, Brown Young, you could trade one or two pieces with some of these other folks to get better for year 2027.
Yep.
And I'm like, I would accept that. The 2026, 2027 season, that makes sense to me. Then you become a little more lethal. All in all, like there's four or five teams on the East. I feel like there's 8, 9 on the West that are, if you look at competitive wise. And the thing about the crazy part about the West is there's like 9 teams and OKC can get better.
Right.
So This will be fascinating. Those are interesting trades, of which I think the two players, I mean, the White Holiday makes the most sense. Porzingis would be out of this world crazy. Brown would blow my socks off if that happened. I'd be like, oh, that's different.
It's a big pivot for Boston.
Yeah. So then again, it goes, and then who feels the pressure if Boston's making moves? The Knicks feel pressure. Detroit's feeling pressure. Like Cavaliers, all the teams. Indiana's going to feel some pressure. So it forces the teams at the top to really work hard.
For
so
sure.
We'll see. As always, thanks for sticking around, everybody. Like, subscribe, and for the Boston fans, you just lost Devers. You may lose some other folks, but don't worry. 26-27 is not too far away, and the food in Boston and the culture is so nice and warm and inviting. You guys are so great. I'm sure
it's title
town. God bless America. Yes, you're not wrong. As always, I'm Brendan. That's Nolan. And we're the Hoop and the Harm. Thanks, everybody.